Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk, an insider's guide to real estate, life, and the pursuit of happiness. We're live in Charlottesville, across Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. We're presented by Realty Partners. Find them online, yesrealtypartners.com, an absolute trusted name in this game we call real estate. So much to cover on the program. Scott Morris, one of our favorite lenders, the most talented one in the house. In studio, you will see him in moments. Charlottesville Settlement Company, Pearl Certification, Intrastate Service Company, Dairy Market, Shenandoah Joe's, and powered by Sigora Solar. Sigora Solar, our newest sponsors here on Real Talk. So much to cover. Judah Woodcower is our director, and if we can go to the studio camera and welcome our talented, poignant, and our deep in perspective roundtable, Yonna Smith, the fabulous team leader at Yes Realty Partners. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Phenomenal. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday to you.
And we're 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving. Isn't that something?
2 weeks from Thanksgiving? Less than 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Absolutely amazing. We all have a lot to be thankful for.
Absolutely.
Scott Morris, this very sharp-looking dressed gentleman. Good morning, Scott.
Thank you. I don't know about sharp dress, but it's like this weird time of year where I can't get out of the house without freezing or then like being, melting in a sweater later in the afternoon. Right. So
yeah.
He's looking sharp per usual, and we have a new friend of the network, Julie Garrett, associate broker at Rappahannock Real Estate LLC. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Why don't we start, ladies first, with Julie.
Okay.
Introduce yourself to everybody that's watching.
So yeah, I'm Julie Garrett. I'm the associate broker with Rappahannock Real Estate. So we were in Little Washington, Virginia, and soon to have an office in Madison County, which is the red hot market that we're talking about.
That's amazing. That is amazing. We can't wait to hear about Rappahannock Real Estate. Yonna, the show is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be back again. It's been a little while since I've been here. And in the good company of Scott and Julie.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
What's that to say? Life's good. We're happy. Had so far a very, very good year. Very positive year on many, many levels. And just came back from about 2 weeks ago from spending some time with the grandkids again, thankfully. Was doing my first trick-or-treating in years with little ones, and it was a lot of fun. So.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yonna Smith of Yes Realty Partners. Nicholas Erpy says, good morning. Johnny Ornalis, thank you for sharing the show today. Manana, thank you for sharing the show. Mr. Scott Morris, you are a Renaissance man. This guy hits the gym hard. This guy has 3 children. This guy's got a farm. This guy's a lender. What are you not doing these days, Scott Morris?
Well, speaking of Renaissance, this weekend I'm going to go up to D.C. for the Van Gogh experience, which should be pretty dope.
Whoa!
Yeah, I'm excited for that. But non-Renaissance, hardened toddlers around for Halloween trick-or-treating and watching them get full of candy, taking care of chickens, bulldogs, all things that are my life.
I have
the best costumes.
Thank you. The
Always.
costumes.
I love the costumes.
What were the costumes?
We did 2 sets. I think the one that made its way around Facebook was 3 Snow Whites, me as Prince Charming, and the baby as Dopey.
Very nice. Judah, can you go to Scott Morris's Facebook page and see if we can find that photo of the family on Halloween so we can air it on screen?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we need to do that right now. I know Scott will love that.
I'm not sure if it beats last year with the shorty shorts.
True. Yeah, last year was a Richard Simmons type workout
Scott Morris was in
costume.
shorty shorts.
Shorty shorts. Bottom huggers, if you may.
Yeah.
Bottom huggers. Oh my God.
So Scott,
In the Marine Corps, they're called silkies.
Okay, sorry, Scott.
These just happen to have like the Rolling Stones mouth all over them, so they were interesting.
I see that. Oh, I see the photo right now. Look at this. This is fantastic.
This is hilarious.
It's about 9 or 10 posts down. That is an adorable Morris family right there. Yonna Smith says, love it with the heart emojis.
Yep, I did, absolutely.
So why don't we do this? I'll get out of the way. Yonna and Scott, you guys lead the charge here. We want to take a look into 2022 potentially.
Absolutely. Want to go ahead, Scott?
Yeah, so the big thing I kind of wanted to pick everybody's brain about today was where do you see local real estate going in 2022? How do we, what's going to help overcome the inventory shortage, and where are the pros and cons as far as what everybody thinks is out there?
Julie?
So I see that we're still going to have a really strong market this next year. I don't see it slowing down. I know that some folks say that it's going to be that crash again that we had, and I don't see it happening. It's not the same. Everything's not coming together the same way that it did when we had the crash. So we are still so unbalanced that it can't crash or slow down yet, I don't think. So we have to have a slowdown. It's going to happen sometime. I don't see it coming soon. The inventory issue, I see it being, I know that people have said like the numbers show that we're getting balanced because we're having inventory and new homes on the market seem to be balancing out more than the ones that are leaving the market. And I feel like some of those homes that are coming on are what I would say is unmarketable, which they're throwing houses out there that are way overpriced for what they are just to see what happens. And we can't sell those homes. And then they sit there. So even though there's that balance, it's not the right balance. We need marketable homes coming on the market to balance out what we have.
What do you think, Yonna Smith?
I would absolutely agree with that statement. And just as far as the historic sort of journey is concerned for the any crash or any downturn, any thought of it even coming up. I mean, there's a lot of safeguards in place, and most of the safeguards are really in place these days from the lending side of it and from the underwriting side of it, that in my opinion really will continue to safeguard us against a historic downturn that we had in 2008, 2009. I do agree with the inventory, and I do agree with the point that some of the sellers are really unrealistic, and that's really driven by what's basically what they think the market is telling them. And I think us as realtors, it is our responsibility to really kind of be as realistic as we possibly can, because price, condition, and location still drives it, no matter where you go, no matter what you want to get accomplished. And I think that the primary goal for them is really to realize, why do I want to put my home on the market? Where do I want to go? What is my motivation to make that happen? And based upon that, I think we as realtors, it's our responsibility to really go ahead and make them understand that you may think your home is $100,000 worth more than that the market is telling you, but is this really what you want to get accomplished? So,
Do you want to list it or do you want to sell it?
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
perfect,
and I think,
perfect
I
statement.
think that's part of it. I think there's also a piece, and this goes into choosing your professional.
Yep.
And what I see coming on that stays on, I mean, I've had probably 3 in the last month that have, some step cracking on foundation, like some stuff that you just normally would hope to see taken care of before it came to market. And I think that's what you were talking about as far as condition of property. So I do see more of that. I think part of that's the time of year. And I also think it has to do with we're starting to filter into the investors, the mom and pops who had a renter in and maybe weren't getting rent, and they're now over it and trying to unload some of these properties. So they don't want to put money in them to get rid of them. But then you've got first-time home buyers who are seeing the prices for these that are staying on market, and they want to go in and try to make an offer to get in at the most competitive price for them. But really, I also see a lot of listing agents. Now, this is all over. This goes more into like Northern Virginia, more so than what I've seen directly around here, that will put some of these properties on market without any kind of warning. So if you've got an agent who's unprepared to put the listing together, and you've got a new buyer's agent going out there to buy it, you get, and this all comes into why you should take the time to choose a professional like Julie or Yonna, depending on wherever you are, so that you know that either you're preparing your sale for the best possible outcome, or you're protecting your buyer for the worst possible outcome.
Yeah.
So how about this? You're going to love this. Why don't we, get the Halloween photo on screen now, if we could. And Scott, you got it. Oh, it's on screen. Everybody look at the screen right now and see what could be the best Halloween costume of 2021, literally on the show right now.
Perfect.
Joe Haught is watching the program. Joe Haught,
Joe.
He says, we close on our first home next week. Thank you for all you have done in making this process smooth. Scott Morris, we love you.
Well, you're welcome, Joe. Joe is a veteran, Iraq,
Thank you for your
maybe
service.
Afghanistan. I can't remember if he was there as well. He and I were in Cuba together in 2002. A longtime friend, somebody I've, just a lot of joy in being able to help get into his first home.
Marlene Wolf says, I love it, I love it, I love it. I think she's referencing the Morris Clan costume right there. Bill McChenzie, welcome to the program. Neil Williamson, hello and welcome to the show. CVille Weekly, welcome to the program. Folks in Northern Virginia all over this program, which I think could be Julie's influence here. All right, so we have, you guys are the experts. I just throw the questions out. We have an inventory pitch. We're all hoping that inventory is going to get a little bit more robust as we head into next year. We know the spring market springs so much earlier now, and the spring market really is like a Q1 winter market now, and it's no longer a spring market. Do we see additional rooftops available at competitive prices in the very near future for purchase?
I think everybody is still going to have that mindset of they can get the max for their property. And so we're still going to see these houses coming on the market at the top of what they think they can get for the home. And I still think we just need we need homes that new construction, which is struggling right now. I mean, it's
Cost of goods are through the roof.
Incredible.
No subs to work on them.
Yeah, no one's working. The
Yeah.
materials are not there. Everyone's struggling, and so everyone's rushing to those already established homes and fighting for it. And that's why you can get top dollar for the ones that are good and marketable and in the right place in good condition. And it's a fight. We still need those little homes for like $225. Where are they for some of our first-time home buyers? They're non-existent.
Is the single-family detached house with a 2 in front of it or an early 3 in front of it now the T-Rex of homes? Is it extinct and no longer a reality? Yonna Smith, what do you think?
Perfectly honest with you, I mean, you need to be realistic with the expectations and also kind of see if that matches what the buyer is looking for. It's not always all about pricing. Pricing is important, obviously, and affordability. I think affordability plays a big role in that. To answer your question, I think it's going to take a good amount of patience and a good amount of willingness to stick through the process to make sure that you get what you're looking for. 200 is probably going to be a little bit challenging unless you are willing and you're in a position where you can go ahead and pick yourself a home that needs a little bit of TLC, potentially, or you're really looking to wait. So,
but I mean, a lot of it's also, location.
Exactly.
So if you're someone who is willing to step outside of 15 minutes from town, like Monticello still has 200K properties, well, without a 3 in them, in front of the number at least. They come on and they're in good condition in Greene and Madison. They're there, but they are also the ones that are gone within 3 days, like under contract. You go further east, Powhatan, they exist. That 64 corridor, Goochland, Louisa, they exist. If you're in your that Locust Grove area of Orange, they exist. So they exist and they are out there. And we're also in a world where, commuting is getting easier. As everything expands, as we're in this, there's still some work from home environment.
Just wanted to say.
There's more gig working, there's more, the better access to internet, the more expansion of that creates the availability to travel, which will, in turn also over time give more value to these properties, but it also allows someone who's willing to get in as early as they can an opportunity to buy at the most affordable price.
10 listings on the market right now at Lake Monticello.
Oh yeah, I know.
She is an expert.
I know.
She knows Lake Monticello inside and out.
I looked at it this morning before I came in, and the thing is whatever is on the market is, to your point, is it marketable or not? And it is marketable. So, but to a point that it needs to find the right buyer. So normally, like Scott said, $200,000 to $250,000 at the lake. Yeah, you can still look. You can still find. But you need to be fast. You need to be fast, especially with only 10. And I'm sure there were 2 or 3 that are actually being built. So that's something that's That's, I mean, we have the biggest builder out there, Liberty Homes, at the moment.
Right. Who's producing new inventory?
Absolutely.
One of the few.
Yeah, one of the very few. It's a handful.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know.
Liberty, Stanley Martin. Who else are we seeing doing new inventory around these parts? Julie, in your parts too.
Yeah, we have, I see
Brian.
new companies kind of coming in
Okay.
and jumping in, Bethel Builders, and, you know, some of
Yes.
the newer ones that you're kind of like, well, who are they? But, you know, they're jumping in and getting into the market.
But those aren't
and it's
production
working.
builders. They're doing
Yeah, they're
individual
small,
units, right?
It's a very, yeah.
Small outfits.
I mean,
Yeah,
some of these guys
they're
are
just
doing
the-
30 to 40 houses a year. I mean, that's, you know.
The
I
smaller
was-
guys?
Like,
Who would that
Besides
be?
Stanley, Ryan, Frank, and Charlie at Southern and Liberty, who's doing that many units?
Jefferson Home in Culpeper.
Okay.
That's correct,
Sona
yeah.
Yeah.
Homes.
Sonoma, they do some numbers. I
Yeah,
think.
they do.
Yeah.
And Culpeper.
So that's what you're going to see, and I think this is going to kind of work its way towards the areas that you have mentioned, as far as east, west, you know, north and south is concerned. So
So I'll throw it to you guys. Madison's future in the next 12 to 36 months, how do you characterize it from a real estate standpoint?
Madison has become just like a very strange little market of its own. And I think that it's just because Northern Virginia is creeping its way to us. And
You live in
those
Madison?
folks- yes.
He lives in Madison.
I live in Culpeper.
On Culpeper, okay.
So yeah, they're creeping out, and people are wanting to get away from it, especially now with the pandemic. They want
And you can
away
work from an
the
ISP.
people. Yeah. So they want out of the chaos. They want away from the people, and Madison. But they want to be able to drive to the chaos at some
Yes.
point. So they want Madison has just an amazing feel because it is close. I can be in Charlottesville in 30 to 45 minutes, or Fredericksburg or Richmond. Or, you know, I can get to DC. And it's not a painful drive if I have to do it, but Madison has that rural feel that you're just in the country and small town, and everybody wants it. And it's making it hard for our county because it's small. We don't have
The
many
infrastructure.
homes, and so the local people are struggling to stay there. If they have a home, they're staying. They're not leaving. So that's where we don't have the homes coming on the market. The ones that are coming on the market, those Northern Virginia folks are coming to it, and they can just
With
be
huge
more
bags of money.
competitive. Yeah, they're more
Yeah,
competitive
right.
than, you know, Madison County local, and so it's difficult.
What do you think, Scott Morris?
Seen your huge bags of money. I've seen a lot of, there's more cash than, you know, traditionally have seen. It's like, where is the money? You know, normally you don't see, you know, just from communicating with realtor partners, like the ability to go in and make an offer where someone's going in and paying cash as opposed to trying to finance when you're talking about competitive offers for people. But there's less of it. I think we've gotten away from the
just
feeding
wanted to
frenzy.
say-
So, and some of it was, you know, certainly there were some creative ways that people were going about it, but.
How so?
From whether it was having a family member come in and purchase and hold the note, create a lien, and then refinance or cash out or get them off the existing lien after, you know, they've
After
gone
the
in and
close.
acquired the property. Some of that for, you know, existing owners, I'm still actually doing, you know, so rates have gone up a little bit, but cash out refinance is still very attractive because people are gaining equity in these homes. So if they're looking to buy a second home or a condo at Wintergreen or a beach house somewhere, they're going in and they're tapping into that equity to come up with the 10% that they need to finance the second.
Comments coming in, and guys, Yonna, anything you want to add?
I pretty much see this interesting that you say that about, you know, cash buyers. We've actually seen the phenomenon a little bit towards, I would say, the mid of the year, where folks actually held on to their cash and used, because the money was cheap, is cheap, you know, to get out a loan, and held on a little bit to some cash, you know, for emergency purposes, or if they needed to go ahead and put some money into the home to kind of update it or whatnot. So that trend actually has shifted now again, that more and more folks are really looking to finance more than they actually wanted to do cash.
Neil Williamson, president of Free Enterprise Forum. We're going to get to your comment right now. Culpeper is in the house right now, which is Mr. Morris's influence right there. Is it Amada Mendez Acosta watching the program? Diana Lynn Banks from Remax, giving you guys props and watching the show. Folks in Fredericksburg in the house. Perhaps your influence right there. So President Free Enterprise Forum Neil Williamson says this, is this circular logic? Do sellers want top dollar as they need that money for their next residence? Considering demographic changes, is there a growing market for downsizing seniors? It's a good question. You want to start with that one, Julie?
I do see a little bit of seniors selling and being ready to downsize.
Baby boomers.
Yeah, and I think that they just, people are selling their homes and getting that cash out of it, and being able to take that cash and go somewhere else. But what do you see? Do you see the seniors?
I would agree with that, and I also see sort of the trend going back to multi-generational homes. So in a way that mom and dad will go ahead and take the equity that they were able from the sale of their home and put this into a new home that the kids are building, and see if they can possibly, kind of live together. So that's sort of that's one trend that I'm seeing, and the other trend I do see, and we were talking about this before we came on, a lot of folks are moving out of state, and they're moving into areas that they really can afford, and they can get get a little bit more for their money. And at the same time, even if it's a little bit further away from the families, they're willing to go ahead and do that. For instance, there's a NAR stat, I didn't bring it with me today, but there's a NAR stat that folks moving from Charlottesville are moving into the North Carolina area, believe it or not, into South Carolina and obviously Florida. And sort of the shift back from folks coming back into Virginia is, believe it or not, coming out from the West. Colorado, Arizona.
It makes sense though.
Yeah, because of the water problem that they have out there.
Well, and in the West, those places you mentioned, more expensive than Virginia.
Absolutely.
So people are trickling down a totem pole of affordability. Is Charlottesville and Central Virginia, Scott Morris, going to turn into a and I can't believe I'm going to say this. Charlottesville, Central Virginia, I can't believe I'm going to say this, going to turn into a refugee camp of Northern Virginia refugees.
I mean, it has for years. I mean, look at, you get the people who live in Fluvanna, and their perception of Lake Monticello is like this New York, New
Jersey, yeah.
Who would have thought that, that would happen? But I mean, literally, that was advertised in New York papers, and yeah. So of course, Northern Virginia is going to trickle down, which goes back to my whole, the more mobile people can be with their lives as far as mobile work, people are willing to commute a little bit further. That affordability is there. I really think when we talk multifamily, I think if the ability to create ADUs in more rural environments that's where it's at. If you've got where the baby boomer generation is starting to age out of wanting to have 2 or 3 acres and cut their own grass, if we could get a second unit in a more rural area where they're in a family environment, that's that as a culture is something that I think everybody wants. People don't want to live in a condo. Some people do. But I think that if they can be with their family and have access to living in what is essentially a condo-size environment, but on the same property as a family member, I think that's a plus for everybody involved.
What do you think, Yonna?
I would agree with that. I think that's a very viable solution. However, we come back down to sort of government restrictions or county restrictions of what you can and cannot do. And I guess we're stepping into Keith's territory on that as far as affordability and how do you create additional affordable housing market for not just for folks who are not able to afford it, but also for, let's face it, I'm a baby boomer, so I'm looking to downsize. So where am I going to go, right? Can I go up to Connecticut because it's so outrageously expensive up there?
Yeah.
Can I go to Seattle? Right?
Even more expensive.
Yeah. So where is your family, and do you find yourself wanting to move to be close to everybody? And
well, if it's up to me, then I move to Austin, Texas, but that has yet to happen.
Please don't move to Austin, Texas. You will be missed. I think what you do, and I don't want to speak for you, is you stay in your home longer. Right?
And that's exactly what everybody else is
Yeah.
doing, right? So the folks who used to stay in their homes 4 to 5 years are now staying in their homes, 8 to 9 to 10 years. And that's where we've been. We've been in our home for 20 plus years.
And it's caused the pinch to be greater and even more.
Absolutely. So, but, again, I guess for us as professionals, I think if we are able to go ahead, if we can convince ourselves that, yes, there's a good path forward and set the right expectations and be resourceful. I mean, you have to be resourceful about this. You have to really kind of figure out what additional options do we have available that we can offer our clients, and have that really, very, very, I would say, intentional and truthful conversation with the buyer and the seller.
So when we're talking about being creative, I think part of that is, and also some of these more distressed properties that we were talking about coming on, is having the ability to know a contractor that's set up to go in and do a 203K renovation or do a home ready renovation. And if it's someone who can get in and they can maybe they can sell their house, have some time there before they have to move into the next, or be able to be in a short-term rental while these properties are being rehabbed, I think that's another solution to the double-edged sword there.
I completely agree with you, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show.
Love it.
I agree 100% with what you're saying. Amy Lynn, we'll get to your comment about Page County here in a matter of moments. The first-time home buyer is already intimidated enough to ask the first-time home buyer, and this is for the sake of a talk show.
Sure.
To ask a first-time home buyer to buy a home that has some wear and tear on it, and then have to manage a construction site when they need a place to live and they're uncertain about where to go. That's asking a lot for a first-time home buyer.
Agreed. However, devil's advocate here, if they can get in at a price point where they normally couldn't have, they can go in at what would have been a $225 purchase, and now they're going to finance $300 anyways. They were going to finance $300 on the thing that isn't done or isn't as done as well as it could have been. They go in, they stay in their rental for 6 more months while the work is done, and then they move in post-closing just like they would have to begin with. It puts them in a better value proposition than they would have if they purchased something that they then didn't have the cash to renovate themselves but still needed the work.
Very well said. And they can do the renovations, get the house reappraised, and potentially refinance again on the house. Is that possible?
That's possible, but we'd like to see that at a minimum of, say, 10 months down the road. But they probably won't need to, because in my opinion, right now, what they're going to be seeing is interest rates are going to continue to rise. So the benefit, I don't really know that there would be a true benefit to them, because what they're going to do is they're going to go in, there's going to be a subject to appraisal. They're going to say the house is worth this now. Here it's going to be worth, it's $225 now. It'll be worth the $300 once they do the reno. The reno. Yeah. They're going to finance off the $300 number. The down payment's going to come off the $300 number, and then they're going to get in. And I don't really think that there would be a benefit to refinancing down the road, or at least not in the immediate sense. No. Mm-hmm. Maybe years once they've got some cash and they want to take it out to do something else, or if we have another crazy interest rates go to zero situation or something. But in the foreseeable future, the path would be to get in with, they wouldn't be managing the construction either. So that would be the, whoever we want a trusted, organized contractor to go in. They just want to have, this is what the countertops I want, these are the cabinets I want, this is the flooring I want, pick out some paint colors, and then walk in with all the agreed to items that they asked for in the beginning. Which we all know.
This just sounds like HGTV. Oh my Lord.
I feel like the first-time home buyers are almost forced to do these kind of things, even though they don't want to, and that's expecting a lot. It's almost a little bit forced of being creative with what they're doing, because we're not finding these amazing turnkey, no repairs needed homes.
Because those homes sell in 24 hours or 36 hours.
For way more than some of these first-timers can afford.
Exactly.
And so they're forced to be creative. They're forced to, we got to tackle a little bit and put some work into it to make it happen. I mean, they need a house, and so they kind of have to do it.
Well, that sort of ties into the expectations, right, that you talk to a buyer client about. and the options that's what I meant when I said be creative and,
Oh, yeah,
and have options
100%.
available. And now the only thing that I want to play devil's advocate is I have yet to find a good remodeling contractor that actually is available, shows up,
Bingo.
and does whatever.
that's the-
On a short time window.
On a short time.
Yeah.
So,
Luckily, I have somebody in the Culpeper area who's
Oh, you-
all set up, and
Well,
I've
I
got
need to
an
talk to you
FHA
then.
consultant, and I am ready to go for the entire thing. However, when you get into certain areas, I had somebody ask me in Harrisonburg, and he's like, "Bro, I can't get from one
Yeah,
to the
sure.
other." But that's the problem, is trying to be everywhere.
yeah.
So we got a lot of comments coming in. So folks in McLean, Arlington, and Fredericksburg with comments here. Let's acknowledge some of these folks. Amy Lynn, who's a realtor at United Real Estate Horizon. Page County, Shenandoah County, and Warren have been hit hard from Northern Virginia. Jennifer Kraling asked this: we currently live in Arlington and we're looking to get down to somewhere around UVA. My husband went to school there. Can you guys talk about the condo or townhome market as potentially an affordability option? Because the homes that are on the market now are either out of our price range or, as you guys have already identified, need way more work than we're willing to do. Anyone want to talk attached homes, condo, townhome? There's not a ton of those on the market either.
There's not a ton available, but at least not in Charlottesville, Albemarle County.
Or Central Virginia.
Central
I
Virginia.
think the ton more work that you're willing to do probably falls into a category of, is there someone who you're working with or could be working with that's educated you to a way to make that seem more realistic,
Approachable. Yeah.
I think that's probably a good option. But yeah, as far as townhouse condo, Charlottesville doesn't have a ton of condos
No.
anyways, and the condos that they do have,
That's a Northern Virginia perspective because those are everywhere.
tell me about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well-
with and that's where you get a first-time home buyer who's trying to buy Manassas, who's like, hey, I can afford this, and it's like, okay, did you see the $600 a month condo
I just
fee?
wanted
Right.
to say the
Yeah,
condo
and
fees.
it's like for what,
Well, the other thing with condos also is you need to make sure it's warrantable, right?
Sure.
So there has to be a special loan underwriting guideline that needs to be met in order to which, in some instances, the more cash you put down, I think the easier it gets to
yeah,
go ahead.
10% opens the door there.
Yeah,
quite a
so
bit.
so that's something, that's a conversation to be had. But I do agree that there's not a lot on the market, and to be honest with you, whatever is coming on the market, the condo fees in some areas you really need to be careful with, and there are certain condos that also need updating.
Yeah.
That's
Bill McKenzie, we'll get to your comment. Before we do, Julie, what's on that brain over there?
I don't know much about condos. I don't deal with it. We are so rural that when somebody says condo, I'm like, what are we talking about? No, I'm dealing with large acre, little farms, and I certainly see those Northern Virginia folks wanting that as their second place.
So second place, not primary residence.
that's correct.
Probably equally both. I have ones that are selling up there and being able to cash out and use that cash to put into a primary, and they have figured out it's the ones that can now work remote and don't plan on going back. We certainly did have some of the COVID sales as well, that they rushed in and bought something, and then everyone said,
Well,
come back to the city,
maybe
we're
this
back
isn't
open.
for me.
Yeah, I know. And you know firsthand about farms and farmettes, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, that and just just like everything else in life, all these things take time. So somebody who, now I do think there's a huge population of people who also realize they want more space and are willing and really do want the work that goes along with it. But when you've spent 4 hours cutting your grass, you're like, maybe this was not my thing.
Maybe that's not what I wanted.
He knows firsthand. Scott Morris, you're doing really well. Shelby Haught, welcome to the program. Is that kin to Joe?
That's Joe's wife.
Joe's wife. She's giving you props right now. Colby Ramasco, hello and welcome to the program. Bill McKenzie says this: I'm in my 70th year of life. I've lived in my current home since 1987. My biggest battle to continuing to live here is battling government's rising taxes and fees. Can we talk about how government can potentially gentrify fixed budgeted homeowners out of their existing residences and how that's impacting the market. Scott, you want to tackle that first?
I do not, because without getting crazy political.
I know.
Yeah, that's a very politically loaded question.
I'm very much a libertarian myself, and I get so frustrated with taxation, where I find to be regressive and not progressive, despite government billing it as progressive. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Anything you guys want to add to
Nope.
that topic? Scott nods his head in agreement over
I
here.
mean, asking the government to fix a problem is just asking them to
For trouble.
print more money to fix the problem, and it's a perpetual cycle of, anyways. I'm
'Cause-
good, I'm good.
Somebody's going to have to pay for it. That's
Very good. So this one right here from Lynn, she says, can you guys give us insight, so this is for you guys, into the Culpeper market and beyond, because we certainly cannot afford anything in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. You want to go first, Julie?
it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, this is
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
I think, I guess, Charlottesville and Albemarle is a little bit, I don't know that it's that much more expensive now. I feel like Culpeper, when I'm looking at everything, it used to be that I would look in Albemarle County and be like, oh my gosh, that's, way more than some of the surrounding counties. I see it equaling out a little bit more.
You agree with that, Scott?
I would try to quantify that and really find out what are you
Yeah,
looking
so
for.
a
I mean,
little
this
bit.
is
So
like generic.
I think Orange, there's affordability there, but
Yeah.
I think Culpeper in itself is, not much differently priced. The taxes are lower, but I don't think it really moves the needle from one to the other most of the time. But it depends on how rural you get. Like I do some, I work with some agents in Richmond also. Powhatan seems super affordable. But then the right property in the right area, but again, we're getting to, do you want to live in Green where you're 35 to 40 minutes from being into Charlottesville, or you're almost in Harrisonburg if you're at the bottom of the mountain over there, and you can get into some more affordability there as well. Green and Madison, I think both have very affordable homes, but there is not enough existing inventory to set that, to really open that up.
And I think it's pretty much the same thing also. I mean, the further south you go. I mean, Nelson County, for instance, or Amherst.
100%.
So I think this is depending on what you're looking for. This is, sort of what
How far are you willing to travel?
How far are you willing to drive,
and where
and
you need
what
to
are your
go.
top priorities?
Yeah, do you
So-
have little kids that have just started doing
Yeah.
3 or 4 different activities, and you
Right.
have to take them everywhere?
I know what that's like.
Maybe being really far from things is not for you.
Nope.
But if let's say you are looking to downsize, and
You could chill at your house for a while longer.
Yeah.
And you don't have to get in the car and drive your kid to karate, t-ball, soccer,
Dance
and,
class,
and
tennis
3-year-old
lessons.
birthday parties at parks that
Yeah.
drive dads crazy.
Exactly.
I didn't say that out loud.
Exactly.
I'm doing one on Saturday. What is with these birthday parties? They're constant.
Loving it.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I got out of the birthday party thing by going to the Van Gogh thing. So that's
Smart man.
Yeah,
You might
thanks.
see my parents there.
Smart
on the
man.
van.
That is phenomenal. By the
Well,
way, I
what
need
do
to
have
pick
to
you up
do
on
in
that idea.
the man bank to go to the Van Gogh thing? What do you owe to make this trip to the wife and the kids? Because you are going to the birthday party.
The wife and kids are going to the
Oh,
Van Gogh thing. Yeah,
smart
that's
man.
a
You're
DC
bringing them with
event.
you.
Yeah. Well,
This is amazing. Yeah, Keith and I are gonna do the same thing.
Very, very smart.
Super.
So why don't we throw this to you guys? And this is from Brian, who's watching the program. So it seems like the Richmond market, which Scott has just mentioned, is got a lot more inventory from an affordability standpoint. My wife and I can work from, as Jerry said, an internet signal at our house. So having to go to Charlottesville for work is not as important to us anymore. Why is Richmond so much more affordable now than some of its surrounding jurisdictions? And I'll get out of the way here. I mean, let's cut to the chase. Richmond just has more inventory. It's a
Bingo.
supply and
Inventory.
demand thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys want to tackle that?
It's also
And it sprawls a little
Sprawling.
bit, and then we go back to location.
Yeah.
So look, I've got a friend who's got a restaurant called Grissett in the Churchill area
Oh,
of
yeah.
Richmond.
I know Grissett.
And he's actually getting ready to open a wine bar in the old Awful Authors location there on, it's not Cherry, anyways. But the bottom line is, Church Hill was not an ideal location to be in 10 or 15 years ago,
Changed,
and now it's they're turning it into it's a cool little neighborhood. So it went from being super affordable to not as. So depends on where you are. If you're on the Zion's Crossroads side of things, that's starting to short pump sprawling out to Zion's, and Zion's is sprawling towards short pump. So it really depends on what amenities you want and how far are you willing to travel.
Louisa is the same way, by the way. Louisa County, I mean, there's some opportunities, especially in the southern part of
100%.
Louisa, where you can actually be closer to I-64, and literally, I think this is halfway between Short Pump and Charlottesville. So that's another opportunity to go ahead and look at as far as affordability is concerned.
What do you think, Julie?
I think that the reason it's a little bit more affordable over there is it's not as pretty as here. And I hate to say that. Somebody's going to be mad at me. Just be mad at me. I don't know. But the mountains over here, just the scenery that we have closer to the mountains this direction, and it being a little bit more sprawled out, people really want that. And they will spend the money for it. So as you go closer that direction, people aren't willing to spend the money for a nice flat piece of land that's close to
I will
the
do this
interstate.
for the sake of Richmonders that watch this program and the fact that this lives on the internet forever. I will say that the aspect of the ability to walk to things in Richmond without needing a car and just go out your door is super cool. Like being in like the Jackson Ward neighborhood or like Shockoe Bottom, Shockoe Slip, Carytown, and being able to just go out your door and go to like the Jefferson Hotel or like Cezanne Market or Cezanne Cafe. Or is it Havana 59? I think it's a Cuban restaurant we like quite a bit. That's pretty cool.
100%.
Yeah.
But also when you're looking at Richmond gets rural very fast when you're on that Patterson turns into Route 6. So I grew up in Columbia, which is where Goochland, Fluvanna, and Cumberland all come together. And right where the Ravenna and James are. That 6 takes you into Patterson. You go from absolute rural into the city in like 5 minutes.
What do you think, Yonna?
Absolutely, no, I agree with that. I mean, I know actually Columbia quite well. By the way, is another area that's becoming more and more noticeable and noticed is the Columbia area, Bremo Bluff area, Buckingham County area. So these are sort of the little pocket areas. Again, it depends on what you're looking for.
Multiple agents are asking this question here, and this has come up on other shows. And as we welcome Julie to the show and Scott, I see a lot of agents that are in the Culpeper, Madison, and North footprint that are watching right now. So multiple agents, and I'm going to paraphrase for both of them, for 3 of them. Are we now just going to be selling homes in a much larger footprint as agents and having to drive our clients 100 miles plus to show properties? I mean, is that the future of what's happening here? You want to ask?
I think it is.
Okay.
I do see that where people tend to think we just have our one little tiny area and you just work this one county, and that is not true anymore.
No.
We have to drive.
But that has been not the case for the past 10 years. I mean, since the market started kind of
Here's what I
building
see
again.
happen.
Yeah.
Is the neighborhood specialist a thing of the past?
No, I don't think so.
Primary,
but here's what I see happen. I see somebody get interested in a neighborhood or an area, and then they get their butt kicked for 3 months, not trying to get what they want, or this is recent, like in the last year. And then they go from looking in that neighborhood to all of a sudden like, what else can I do?
Yeah, it's
and then
opening up the
if they
horizon.
don't get it right away, then they start expanding their options, and they start somewhere focused, and then if that doesn't work, it's what are my other options, and then it's, hey, can you take me here? Can you take me here? Can you take me here?
Yeah.
That's what I've seen happen.
Well, typically
we
the
go.
conversation, and I agree with what you said, Julie, I'm not just in one particular area, right? I mean, you have to, as a professional, I think it's also your responsibility to open up additional options for your client, right? And I haven't driven 100 miles yet, but I've come close to 75 miles.
Yeah, I have.
75 miles showing a house for one of your clients?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to
One
guess,
way or round trip?
actually, this is round trip. So
Okay.
are you talking 100 miles just to show a piece of
Um,
property? or is-
I will, and I have, and
Yeah.
I had
You've
some
done
clients
100
that-
miles one way?
I had
Yeah.
some clients that we started up here in Madison. They went that Madison Rappahannock and could not find it for what they could afford. And we ended up in Shacklefords, Virginia, which
Where's
is near
that?
Williamsburg.
Oh, wow.
No way.
And they asked me to go, and I went. So, I can think of multiple times that I have ended up doing that. And yes, I had to make the trip down there probably 3 or 4 times.
So
for
this
home
is a client
inspection
that's
and
working from an ISP at home? It's gotta
Yes, they had jobs where one could just fully work remote, and another one that found a job down there and needed to drive to other homes to do her business anyway. And so she didn't need to be one specific office space, and she made it work.
There's a little bit of a challenge, though, because some of the areas, everything is maybe a little bit different in
It's
certain
different contracts,
areas,
right?
different contracts. So I try not to expand it as many as I would say over 50 miles if I can possibly do it. Plus the fact that we do have a very good referral network throughout the United States and international through Keller Williams. I mean, there's an opportunity that you can go ahead and refer this to somebody who is actually a local expert. So, but I've driven 50 miles, 50, 75 miles.
What do you think, Scott?
I mean, yeah, I think that's.
I mean, you're all for this because
Yeah,
you're in
you-
the money lending business.
I'm everywhere, baby.
Yeah, you're everywhere. It's everywhere.
And he truly is.
I'm
He
everywhere
truly
in
is.
Virginia. I'm everywhere in Virginia and North Carolina. So.
Yeah, he truly is.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, so Scott, you got specific questions for you, and Julie, this is going to pertain to you as well. So, Mayor of Gordonsville watches this program all the time, Mr. Jamie Turner. We love you, Jamie Turner, on this program. Good morning and happy Friday. What are the top subdivisions in Culpeper, in Scott's opinion? We're looking at Madison Grove right now.
I like that. I like Claire Manor, which is on Old Orange. There's not a lot of, well, it depends on like your view of a subdivision. I'm not a subdivision person.
What amenities are you looking for?
But well, yeah, what amenities
What
are you
amenities
looking
are
for?
you
Like,
looking for?
there's a
Young guy. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie. Recently married. Is that accurate? Believe senior associate consultant at KPMG. Has the ability, I believe, to work from home. Probably looking for engaged. So he's engaged. So soon to be married. Looking for probably the neighborhood feel, neighborhood watch. Kids could ride their bikes.
Claire Manor or the
in
Country
neighborhood.
Club.
Okay, why that?
They're both slower paced as far as Claire Manor's more acreage. The Country Club is there's a pretty good little, you've got a pool, you've got Claire Manor, you're 5 minutes from there and access to the pool, but and actually multiple, there's like the rec center, there's multiple options all within 5 minutes for a small family, and they're nice neighborhoods as far as kids riding bikes. You've got room. So the club is a little smaller parcels. Claire Manor is a little bigger, but both of them are very nice.
What do you think, Julie?
I agree because like Scott, I'm not a neighborhood person. So for me, I want to be a little bit spread out. But have the neighborhood feel, but I don't want to touch my
You'll sell homes in
neighbors.
neighborhoods to your clients, though.
Oh, I'll do it all day long.
yeah. And
If
both-
that's what they want.
And both of those have great access to 2915 and Route 3.
Yeah, so that's like
which
the
is that's
corridor,
to me
important corridor.
the classic. I back up to Claire Manor, so that's why I'm I would probably applaud that more than the club, but they're both super nice.
So Claire Manor's getting some follow-up here. This is from Jennifer. She says, please tell us more about Claire Manor. We're priced out of Charlottesville and Albemarle County, and we're looking everywhere now. So you're going to get some kickback from Claire Manor right here. They could just contact Scott for some underwriting, some financing.
Yeah, let's get you pre-approved and see what you're really qualified for.
Yeah, so give them more about Claire Manor here. They're looking for some more insight.
It's not being a realtor. I'm going to go, I think they're probably closer to 3 to 5 acre lots.
That's nice.
And yeah, it is. But again, that's a lot of grass to cut.
I just wanted to say there's a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
And are they looking for like pool and those kind of neighborhood amenities, or they just want the neighborhood feel?
He says,
So
Mr. Jamie Turner, recently engaged, ability to work from home, and exactly looking for neighborhood feel with a sense of community, good place for children to ride bikes and to walk. All of this is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
I think it's that or the club.
should be
I
a
think
good
it's one of the Country Club Estates or Clare Manor, one of the two. They're both right in what you're looking for.
Good question. I'm giving them props right here on the good question. So, Yonna, neighborhoods like that for first-time home buyers and young families in Albemarle or Charlottesville, I'm biting my fingernails. Are there any?
I would really say you have to go east. You really have to go east. You have to probably go more towards Fluvanna County, Louisa, just to go ahead and other than obviously Lake Monticello, there may be some tiny little communities that, for instance, Liberty Homes has a majority now of home construction in. I would really need to go ahead and take a closer look at that, to be honest with you. I cannot give you an answer right away. However, what I can tell you is that it's scarce in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Extremely scarce.
It is scarce,
And-
yes, and it's going to stay that way.
Oh, absolutely.
No, just-
and
I
extremely
don't see-
scarce in Albemarle County. Jamie Turner, this is the guy that you need to be calling from a lending standpoint. Scott Morris over here. If you guys are going to make this move, connect with him on Facebook. This guy's very serious right here.
There you go.
Scott Morris.
That's a lot of interest.
A+ people right here. All right, Mr. Morris, what's on the brain over there? What's ticking?
I don't know. What are we doing? Foresight in the rest of the year. I know you brought this foreclosure stats.
Yes.
Kind of curious about that, which falls back into the 203 or renovation aspect of things. What are those numbers looking like?
To be honest with you, surprise, surprise, there is no need to panic over foreclosure spike. And that's basically what the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors actually said, Dr. Yoon. They have risen 67% in September, but that's also compared to last year. And last year around that time, there was a moratorium, so this is really not a true value.
I'd be more interested in what that number is to, say, 2018 or 2019.
And again, he is saying it's at a historic
numbers
low.
at a historical low.
Historic low.
That's right.
So, and he didn't give any specific numbers. And what they're seeing is that they are really somewhat historically normal numbers, and they're really not predicting this to go ahead and spike. It may help a little bit in the spring market with some of the homes going into foreclosure, just because of the fact that with the equity and with the home prices going up, that they may be able to actually get more money for it. But that's really all. I mean, this is basically what he's saying. I mean, if you look at the chart, I didn't bring the chart for you, Judah, but I can tell you this is what it looks like.
Okay. We'll describe it, because that could be hard.
I mean,
Hey,
so-
the distinguished gentleman, Keith Smith, welcome to the show. We love you, Keith Smith. We
So
miss you.
you saw, obviously you saw a huge spike in the second quarter of 2009, historically high numbers. I mean, they were almost at close as 500,000, 600,000, and we are down to less than 100,000.
And I think that is just because lenders have gotten so careful because of the crash. And,
Yeah,
and
but the
now,
underwriting guidelines.
Yeah.
Interestingly
put into
enough, cities that have seen increase in foreclosures is New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, and Houston.
And is that the COVID related?
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
are just losing
Yeah.
their jobs,
Jobs,
and then they
yeah.
caned do it. And,
Basically, yeah.
And it's hitting
So
hardest
I-
in those areas.
That's okay. BlackRock's buying all those houses.
Yeah.
I think,
I could not,
I
I knew it was coming. I knew I know Scott Morris well enough, that it was either going to be hedge funds buying homes or Zillow crashing
Crashing.
its iBuying program getting shut down. I was putting the over-under at 50 minutes before Scott Morris was mentioning it, and I lost the bet because we're a little over 50 minutes right now. Let's hit this topic, and then I got to get this man's take on Zillow, iBuying, and hedge funds scooping up real estate and rooftops, because I know this guy's opinionated on those topics here.
I heard a very good NPR piece yesterday on that. I mean, this whole iBuy thing was based on algorithms.
Well, there's still companies that are
Nothing
out there
but
that are
algorithms,
doing
which doesn't
it.
work.
No.
It's crazy.
But was there did it warm the cockles of my heart for Zillow to lose that much money? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Everybody.
why don't we do this? Why don't we, because not everyone's in the game like us
Yes.
here. Why don't we let folks know what happened with Zillow closing its iBuying division, losing significant piles of
$425
cash.
million.
Yeah,
In
almost
the first quarter.
$500 million.
Well, that's a quarterly loss. So Bloomberg
Quarterly
about 3
loss.
weeks ago, before the report started coming about what Zillow was reporting for the quarter, they think it's closer to $1 billion. 870 was the number
Oh my God.
that they think.
And the layoffs of people.
25% of the workforce.
2,000, yeah, 2,000 employees.
2,000? Yeah.
2,000 employees,
Yeah,
quarter of the
didn't know that.
workforce. So how all this happened, they, in certain markets, I think Arizona, Atlanta, Houston, New York, or LA, or maybe were their big ones, where they would go in and let's say that you wanted to sell your house, they'd put a number on it and buy it from you. And just based off of what their
It's crazy.
estimate is.
Algorithms. They never looked at the market
They didn't
data.
even walk through the homes.
No.
They didn't even look at the conditions of the cribs. I mean, that's pretty much right?
Right.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is, if you think BlackRock is
BlackRock is a hedge fund.
one of the largest hedge funds in the world as far as money managed. If you think that they weren't doing more due diligence than Zillow, they are probably not under the same. They're probably not looking at the same amount of losses, and they were doing it for a different purpose. They are what is making it more difficult for individual owners who are trying to compete and buy property. And part of what's driving the market up in those areas. That is not happening here. That if you read about it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is why homes are so expensive.
No,
that's not
it's
why
not.
they're so expensive here.
So you're saying BlackRock, much more due diligence than Zillow iBuy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
look at
no doubt.
they're built around risk management, and Zillow is a money printing machine from charging realtors and lenders to run them out of business. And they took that money and they pushed it into the real estate market, and they lost their butt.
Giving the man some props on that comment right there. That was a ballsy comment that I completely agree with.
22,000 homes.
Yeah.
22,000, I mean, imagine that. 22,000 homes that they played around with. And the fact is they never really did any pre-listing home inspections or anything.
They didn't walk through them. They didn't even do the eye test. The extent of the eye test was photos found online. And they didn't even probably look at the photos because it was tied to an algorithm, right? So you're
That's
not
what they
gonna-
said. It was an algorithm.
I mean, that's bananas. How many people, Julie, we'll get you in the mix, said, but my Zestimate said my house is worth this?
And that's why I'm sitting here just laughing,
Right.
because Zillow should know how bad that
And
works.
they do
because
admit
it's not
that.
accurate. Yeah,
They
it's
do
not
admit
accurate
that
at all.
publicly. They do. They're being sued for that, by the way. But I don't know. A couple of things. Chicago lawyers are suing them for that.
How many people or sellers have gone to you, Yonna, and said, my Zestimate? And
Every
then
single
how do
one
you
of them.
handle that?
Very easily. I said, look, there's going to be 3 different price estimates that you can take a look at. Zestimate, you know that this is based on non-local data. So this is based on, I didn't say algorithm, but that's just based on just some factual numbers that nobody can really verify. Look what the market is. This is what the market can tell you. So this is what the market currently tells you what your home is worth. And I typically give them a price range, and based upon, other little factors like condition of the home and what they have done to the home and improvements. I mean, you can definitely come up with a more realistic price. And like Scott said, do you want to list your home or you want to sell your home?
Yeah, and that's all about that's education, and is rebutting that. It's kind of like when a buyer looks at the tax assessment and says, "Well, it's only worth this." It's like, no, that's what you're paying the government on.
This is what
It's
the
worth
government
whatever
needs
it
to
is.
make.
that to be
That's
low.
what the government needs to make to run the business. Exactly.
What do you think, Julie?
Yeah, I have seen way too many times that Zillow is not accurate on many things.
Yeah.
Even when we have a home under contract, and then all of a sudden Zillow puts it back active, and my sellers call me and it's like, "What is going on? You did?" Yeah, I'm like, "No, don't stop going to Zillow. Stop
Yeah.
looking at Zillow." It's there's so many things that get just.
It's just not
on that
accurate.
program. It's not accurate.
Well,
So
Yeah,
part
it's
of
not
that
local.
is because if it's a property that drives clicks,
Yeah.
they want it
They
seen.
want to monetize
Yeah.
web traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they can utilize the web traffic, then they can position that web traffic in front of realtors to command more money from realtors. It's this
Zillow leads, to buy Zillow leads.
It's this circular, like domino effect that's happening. That's no bueno for anybody in the business. Then what is Zillow? What's going to be Zillow 2.0, Scott, or 3.0?
So,
I mean, because there's
As long as there's money, as long as
there's
we're paying, as long as realtors are paying Zillow leads.
So, well, yeah,
The
and
National Association of Realtors should lead a charge and say, realtors, stop paying Zillow. And then Zillow goes away.
so ARC finally, I mean, ARC has to see some value or know about some backup plans. Does Scott Morse know what their backup plan is? No, but if Kathy, what's her name, jumped in and, made a huge buy, then there's something there. And it's probably just a recalculation of what they were doing. This is probably more a pause than it is we're never doing this again. And
They need to figure something else.
the big thing is, and what the critics came at them for was, you had such a good business model. Why did you go do this?
Yeah. Well, because
You know why?
they
There
got
was-
greedy, they put the cart before the horse, and they thought they could walk on water and take a few fishes and a couple loaves of bread and feed the hundreds.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's basically what it was.
And there's enough money. They threw money at it.
Yeah,
They
if
really
there's
did.
enough
They had
money.
so
yeah.
much. They had so much money that, in some instances, they just said, "Okay, let's give this a shot and see what happens."
What do you think?
I don't think Zillow is all bad.
No.
A lot of people, realtors are like, I hate it. I don't want anything to
Why
do
do you
with
think
it.
it's not all bad?
Because I think the part of connecting agents with people that are out there looking is a good thing. I have connected through Zillow leads with folks that I would have never met before.
But how much
because
is that costing you?
Not much.
Okay.
I know how to work it.
How much
I'm
you
not giving
drop?
away my secrets, but I know how to work
Can I
it.
ask you how much you drop a month? on Zillow? You don't
I
have to
only
answer that if you don't want.
I only pay $200 a month for
Okay.
Zillow.
So you're paying $2,400 a year on Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
And how many new leads does that yield?
I would say that almost 50% of my business comes from Zillow leads.
Okay, so the ROI is worth it.
For me, it is worth it. And that's why I say it's not all bad.
It's a lot.
You have to figure out how to work it. You have to, because there is a system. And
Area
you
matters.
have to figure it out.
Area matters too.
I just
Yoda's
wanted to say.
turning, Yoda. I see it turning, Yoda.
Yeah, I'm going to have to be careful what I say and how I say it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So do you think Zillow is all
She's not a
bad?
fan.
Do you hate it?
Don't choose your words carefully. Give us what's on the big, beautiful brain.
So the thing here is I can tell you, and this goes back to what Scott was just about to say, depending on the area you're in and how many other realtors you're competing with, that will determine how smart you have placed your marketing strategy.
So-
And that's
that's
why
all
you
there's to it.
You got to figure it
So
out.
if you do
Yep.
this in
So you're
Flavanna,
basically saying she's in an area where there's not a lot of Zillow competition.
at the moment, yes.
Yeah.
the moment.
Exactly, and I've figured out the system.
And she
So-
knows how to work.
Yeah.
Flavanna County, I can tell you, I did this in 2007.
Okay.
This is before the market.
14 years ago.
14 years ago. I paid $200 a month.
So that was a lot more then.
That was a lot more worth at that
Yeah.
time.
I know people who spend $10,000 a month.
Tell me about it.
to
10 grand a month on Zillow?
Yes.
Good
I know those
Lord.
people too.
Yeah.
Someone's $120,000 a year
just into Zillow.
to get leads?
Yeah.
And is the ROI there?
Could they do the same thing if they just work their database? As far as
Well, I'm a Buffini
as far as
trained,
what
so-
the in number looks like versus the big number, it's probably, but it's
It depends on how well established you are in your market.
Yeah.
That's all I can say to that. I mean, coming back to 2007, so
Yeah, please.
at that time, I learned the hard way. And that's the rate of return question that I learned to ask. I was competing with 5 other realtors.
Okay. A lot less competition.
And now, it's probably 20,
Right.
conservatively.
conservatively.
And just in Flavanna.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that is conservative.
That is conservative, yeah. And do I want to spend my money on that? I can probably spend it somewhere differently.
Yeah. Respect. Keith,
Yes.
her fabulous husband. Zillow drives eyeballs. It is what it does best. That's what Zillow does best. It can't, as Zillow is now, be a brokerage. I will say this, Zillow is like the Facebook for real estate. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, totally.
it'll get some pretty pictures out there. It'll get some specs on the homes out there. the soccer moms and the soccer dads are going to probably see a house that's for sale there first, most likely, of any other platform.
Yeah, but it feeds directly from the MLS.
It's RSS
feeds-
from the MLS.
It does
That's
feed
right.
from the MLS.
That's
So it is your job as a listing professional to make sure that you have good photography because it's being fed.
I will
So
say
the-
this, and this is me saying this isn't you, okay? This is me saying this.
Go
isn't
ahead.
you.
Go ahead.
The realtors created this behemoth
Absolutely.
by giving
Absolutely.
the MLS access to
Absolutely.
Zillow.
And I would not have any answers, nor am I in a position or in any way, shape, in a capacity that I could even comment on what the National Association of Realtors should or shouldn't do. Obviously, they have done it.
Yeah.
And it is
Well,
what
it
it
is
is, and
what it
we're
is.
just going to have to work with it.
Yeah,
So-
Scott, jump in here.
I mean, I think there's, there are things, look, do I like them getting that little fanny spanked? Yes, that entertains me. But at the same time, are there true benefits of it? Yeah, I mean, my wife's on Zillow all the time.
All the time.
Look at
Everybody
this
is.
property. Look at this property. And
Yeah.
it's like, I get
It's the Facebook of real estate.
It drives it. Yeah,
good branding.
there are some huge public and benefits to everybody involved. Even like love it or hate it, it is what it is. It's here. It's not going anywhere.
No, you just work with
so,
it the best
yeah.
you can, and the thing is like I said, as a professional, you acknowledge it, absolutely, yes, Zillow, and you be prepared to discuss this estimate question,
Yeah, I think
and be prepared to go ahead and,
But
use good
these
data.
these are at the same time, these aren't necessarily negatives. These are
No, it's a
opportunities.
positive.
Yeah.
These are someone asking you an absurd question is just the opportunity
It's
to
an icebreaker.
to educate them and,
There you
and
go.
turn them into and turn you into the trusted professional
Yeah.
to explain like, look, that is so wildly wrong, and let me tell you why. But at the same time, I'm glad you asked. And,
Yeah.
and that's it's all
Gives
about
you-
creating opportunities.
Gives you the value proposition also to explain
100%.
and confirm you being the professional that they need to go to and work with.
Kevin Higgins, I'm going to get to this comment here in a matter of moments. More comments coming in. We are an hour plus into the show. You guys are crushing it. Welcome to the network here.
Thank you.
You've
This
really
is
risen
fun.
to the occasion.
Yeah,
It is fun,
this is
right?
fun.
I'm going to throw this to you guys. Where do we see the market going from? Okay, so I'm a big guy into, investing, stocks and whatnot. What is the next air quotes for those that are listening in their cars and not watching me do the air quotes? What is the next like fintech of real estate? You know what I mean? Like, PayPal, Venmo, like all these banks are getting into financial technology. What is the next real estate technology of real estate that's going to differentiate itself from
Kind of like
what
Open
Zillow's-
Door.
Okay, that's where I want to go down.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to throw that question to. Talk to me about that. Because this guy sees down the road. I can tell.
So I don't know what the next step is, but there's certain things that you're never going to be able to automate because humans are great at creating problems. And
That's a good one.
There are companies that would love to step on the mortgage side and say, look, we can do this without originators on the front end. We can take realtors out of the equation. People can click and that's it, and that works fine. Here's a great example. There's a travel website that I've been using since Yahoo was the main search engine, and so probably 16, 17 years I've been using this travel website, and I've never had a problem. And I bought a bunch of tickets to fly to Michigan for my whole staff, and then the dates got changed, and I used somebody's nickname instead of a full name. It took me 3 hours on the phone
Brutal.
to change the dates, cancel the hotel, and update the name, because it was done through a third party, and I'd never had a problem like this before because I'd never had a
You never
problem.
made a mistake.
So all of these automations work as long as there's not problems. As soon as there's a problem, the buyer, the borrower, seller, all of a sudden becomes the most frustrated. I never should have done this in my life, and that's where things fall apart, because there's not someone like a Julie or a Yonna or a Scott to step in and say, all right, look, here's how we fix it. And without that level of human interaction, there's not an AI format on earth that can think its way through a problem and go, well, what do you mean nobody's answering these emails? Well, pick up the phone. And that just doesn't exist. So I don't see the future as far as what the next thing is, but I know people shouldn't be as worried about AI taking over as they sometimes do, because humans create problems, and then you need humans to fix problems.
Well, and I think COVID actually taught us that quite a bit, right? I mean, we cannot live in isolation and do everything from a computer. There is a human element that you have to go ahead and kind of interact with somebody to solve a problem. So I would agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I don't know one person that hasn't gotten irritated with trying to call in and not get a person on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to press all the buttons and it never works, and you just need to talk to somebody. And buying a house is the most stressful thing somebody can do sometimes. And it is a massive amount of money, and it feels like a second job sometimes. And so they need you to do that for them and to calm all the nerves, and if there's an issue, you're taking care of it before they even know about it.
People like to think they want to do things for themselves but they'd rather pay someone to fix their
Oh,
problem.
absolutely.
To do it, yeah.
Well, the thing is also that if you are able to go ahead and draw a picture of what this is going to look, that journey is going to look like, both for seller and buyers. So our job is to really kind of navigate them through the landmines. That's basically what that is. And
I am your spirit guide.
no computer can help you with that. And
Yeah.
and the fact is that if you think about it, on the buying process, there's about 20 to 22 people involved in it to bring you from the time they pick up the phone to call somebody being referred to you as a realtor and or a lender to the point that you close and you have keys in your hands is at least 22 touches by different people. 22 different people.
Yonna Smith, you're on fire today.
I tell you what.
Doing a hell of a job, Yonna Smith.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So here's a good follow-up based on what could be next. This is from
Mm-hmm.
a viewer, okay? It's from Mr. Kevin Higgins, who routinely watches our shows. He
Thank you.
sees a lot of TV commercials regarding Ideal Agent. Have you seen Ideal Agent? You know what Ideal Agent is?
Is this we're not a discount brokerage where, isn't that like in their...
It's
their-
the website. We make the home selling process easy, and I'm reading from the website. We created Ideal Agent to provide a better home selling experience at fair commission. You may have called us to save money, but the real value is in the results you achieve with our top performing local real estate agents. So it's basically like a Match.com for realtors. Okay, and he says, I've seen a lot of TV commercials for Ideal Agent. What are your thoughts on this approach to link up with buyers and sellers? And he has a follow-up question for Scott. How is crypto going to potentially impact the local real estate markets? That's a good question right there.
That's a very good question.
You want crypto or Ideal Agent?
Well, you immediately scowled when you
Hey,
heard
do you guys
Ideal.
know what's that home? What's is it where you have a problem with your house and it gets you in touch with the contractor?
Angie's List?
Angie's List.
Yeah.
You know who
Yeah.
hates that and thinks it's terrible? The contractor.
Yeah.
You know why?
exactly.
Because they sell fake leads.
Yeah, well, and not only do they sell fake leads, but they push up the contractors that are advertising with them. You know what the dirtiest, so we're an advertising agency here. They know this. Julie, we're an ad agency here at B&B Brands. What the dirtiest secret of Yelp.com is? The restaurants and the people that advertise with Yelp.com, they get positioned higher on the ranking. And the restaurants and businesses that advertise with Yelp.com, their negative reviews are buried. And then when a Yelp sales agent calls a restaurant and that restaurateur says, stop calling me, you're badgering me, I don't want to be a part of this, their negative reviews get pushed to the top.
I think you just described what Ideal
That's
Agent
called
probably
I
is.
just
That's
wanted
called extortion.
I just
That's
wanted
extortion.
So our business model, the way we have operated for the past 20, 25 years. So that's why it's a little bit hard for me to kind of really lean into this ideal agent format.
You've heard of them, right?
I did,
Yeah.
yes. I can always say,
She's so nice.
if it sounds
She's
to be,
so nice.
if it sounds too good to be true, then there's something not really true. So, but the point is that our business is built upon personal relationships, no matter what. So the personal interaction is the most important. And over the many years that we've been doing business and been fortunate to build relationships, and this is truly what we're about. That's not to say I cannot build a relationship from somebody that I've met outside of that scope, either through Zillow or through an online lead. However, it still takes that person to develop that relationship. It still takes that person to create the value and share the expertise that you have, and that you're really able to go ahead and help them, serve them, and help them to achieve their goals. I don't know. I cannot say it any better than that.
You said
That's
it
my
well.
comment.
You said it well. You guys want to hit this before we go to crypto?
I mean, I think it boils down to, at least with what I think that is, not knowing enough about it, it certainly sounds like.
It's what you call it. It's the
Yeah,
Angie's
it's-
List or
it's-
Yelp of Realtor.
Yeah, then it's just another way for them to market themselves as a lead generation source
Yeah.
and charge a
And
realtor.
charge for it. There's a referral fee for it.
I mean, you know, Dave Ramsey all flipped into a platform. There's a million ways to do it. That's what it is. I don't think there's a true benefit to the borrower. You know, call your friends, family, research and work through your. I promise you, there's not anyone watching this show right now who is couldn't contact a friend or family member or post on Facebook, hey, who do you think is a good realtor that I should be working with,
And get
not
50.
not get a better result
Yeah.
than whatever this company is.
100%. Well said. Well said.
would agree.
Why don't we close on crypto? You guys have made the show go really well today. The
Thank
show
you.
is crushing right now. Crypto and how it's going to impact the local market. Anyone want to touch on this? Because we're in like the top of the first inning, maybe the bottom of the first inning when it comes to crypto.
We are, yeah.
Yeah, so I purchased a home using crypto money as down payment funds, and
You did?
yeah,
Personally?
Personally, I know how to navigate the process. I know what underwriting is looking for. I know what. No, so you want to be on a good exchange.
Which
that's- Coinbase is
Coinbase
good.
is the one.
Binance is good.
Yeah. I like Coinbase.
What you want to be able to do is dock where the money, how it's coming from the exchange to the bank account. I won't get into the whole thing, but bottom line is I can help you navigate that, and the money can be used. There's a lot of people out there that tell you that it cannot. You just have to be able to source the funds and document the source. If you can do that, the money's there. Do I think that it's, you know, there's not in the immediate future, right? We're in the first inning. There's not a bank a reputable bank that's going to give you good terms
On
crypto as far as using it. You've got to convert it. You've got to create the tax event.
Why is that though?
Oh, because
It's too volatile.
That's
at the
why.
moment, probably, and it's not regulated enough. And you know, how
government-
many? Who's like what? Goldman Sachs maybe is a player that might, you know. But are they? How much money do you have to be balling in the Goldman Sachs world to say, hey, I want to use my crypto to buy a house, and they're like, let's go, bro.
Probably quite a bit. Quite a bit. So this question's coming on crypto. This is a good one for you, Scott. Is there a type of crypto that's more legitimate in the eyes of banks to purchase a home? So Bitcoin, Dogecoin is the joke of crypto.
None of that matters. It's because you're going to have to convert it back in. So you have to be happy with what you are happy investing in and the risk that you want to take. I'm not even going to put a toe in that water.
Have you had Yonna or Julie? Anybody?
nope, not at the
Crypto.
moment.
No, and I think that's why people don't quite understand it yet. So
the
until
process.
it's understood fully and trusted by everyone, I just don't think we're gonna get there.
Dude,
I was reading something last year, I think.
people that are getting into the crypto game now in the first inning are going to, this is just one man's opinion here, are going to do very, very well. Very well.
If you're going to choose something and you think you're priced out of Bitcoin, go buy Ethereum.
It's been red hot lately. Absolutely red hot. You stay away from
But it
Dogecoin?
always has been.
You think that's just a joke? An Elon Musk led.
So it's kind of like the game. The best analogy my favorite analogy for it. How about that? My favorite analogy for it is kind of like hot potato. So you just don't want to be the last one holding it.
Holding the potato, yeah.
It's fun to play around with. It's a great game, but you don't want to be the last one holding it. That's Doge. There's, you know, in my opinion, sure, go in if you can afford to take on that risk and make a little money, or you know, stare at your phone every 15 minutes as it fluctuates.
No.
Cool story, but I just don't think that you want to be the last one holding that.
I got friends, and this is a topic for another show. I got friends that have made hundreds of thousands of dollars on Ethereum, and these are not people that, and I choose my words carefully, are super bright, but have willing to take a chance, and they are literally stacking paper doing this. Yonna, what you were going to say something? I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
I'm good with it. No worries, no worries. I would like to see the percentage of homes that are bought by crypto
So
versus.
I would say it's
it's,
Well under 1%. I would
it
say
has
it's
to
like
be.
0.01%.
It has to be. It has to be, because I seen something 6 months ago, and I think the highest priced home that they sold with crypto was down in Florida, and this was $10 million or something like
So-
that. So it was,
Well, I mean,
so that's really all I know about crypto, to be honest with you.
you can use the money. You just have to be able to dock it when you do accept the tax event that's going to come with it.
Sure.
That's what it comes down to. As far as straight up purchases, you're going to be hard pressed to find a way to make the transaction work.
That's the problem.
Coin to coin.
Yeah.
And that gets into the whole theory of what is this, how viable is it as a actual
Currency. Yeah, if you can't buy a slice of pizza with crypto, how viable is crypto as a currency? And why would the U.S. federal government want crypto to gain market share when it cannot control the money? The federal government wants to control money. So they should be terrified of crypto. And if they're terrified of crypto, we should be concerned about the longevity of crypto. Now, in the short term, you can make a little money with crypto in the short term. Anything else? This has been a hell of a show today, guys. I'm very impressed. How about
Amazing.
Closing thoughts from our first time on set? You did a great job. First time on
Thank
set.
you.
Thank you for
Going
being
into
here.
the Lions Den,
It was-
not knowing
It's
what
Lions
to
Totally
Den,
expect,
different
right?
than,
What did
it's
you
terrifying.
anticipate this was?
No, it probably is exactly what I thought it was going to be, and it is just conversation amongst people that
It
are
is.
doing the same kind of thing and getting perspectives, and so no, it's been really fun.
Please come back.
But
Please.
yeah,
Please
it
come back.
terrified me a little bit. It did, but
Yeah.
that's why I said yeah. I was like, well, yeah, I'll do that.
Well, you did a great job.
So-
It terrifies me every time I come, but that's a matter of stepping out of your comfort zone.
and that's
right?
it. That's what you got to do
That's
to
it.
be a professional. It has to terrify you, and you do it anyway.
That's
so
exactly
you're-
right.
She did a great job. Her name is Julie Garrett, Associate Broker at Rappahannock Real Estate LLC. Scott Morris, some closing thoughts, my friend.
Closing thoughts. I know everybody's favorite question, and I'd never have a real answer to is where are rates going. I think they're going to go up. If you look at an inflation chart and how mortgage rates follow inflation, they mirror one another over the last 40 years. I don't think now is going to be any different. It's going to follow the bond market up. I do think that, and probably contrary to popular opinion, at the moment, depending on your talking point, I think that this inflation probably is a bit transitory. I think even though we pumped a ton of money in, I think the government's going to protect the system because they can't afford not to.
Right.
And we will see rates go up, and then we will see them come back down. So, but again, if you look at a long enough timeline, anything's transitory. So,
Amen. Amen. Consumer price index surged to what? 6.2%?
but some of it's such a.
Its highest since 1990?
Some of it's just such a like if people you talk about the cars, it's because they don't have chips to make them.
Yeah.
So
NVIDIA and AMD can't produce them fast enough to get the cars out to people to buy them.
The resale on cars is 28%.
On Carvana.
Oh my
Carvana's
God!
up
I could
38.6%
sell
for me
my
right now.
car
I've
for
got
now than the
friends
more I
at
bought it.
dealerships that manage used car inventory, and I called him. I was like behind something the other day in traffic, and I was like, "Hey, I was thinking about." He's like, "Don't think, bro. Just wait a year, and then we'll have this conversation." He's like, "No, now is not the time."
Yonna Smith, the fabulous team leader for Yes Realty Partners. The show is yours.
Just a phenomenal year, and I think we're going to have another very strong year ahead. And I was reading something this morning about folks really, getting discouraged on the buyer side as much as on the seller side if their home stays on the market longer than 2 minutes. Just continue on. That's continue on and let us help you really kind of navigate through that. And we're very fortunate that we're able to work in an environment that we can, while we're independent contractors though, but we are here to serve, and we're here to go ahead and help somebody make a move. And I think this is going to continue strong throughout. I mean, even during the holiday season, I think it's going to be busy.
I agree with her. She is Yonna Smith, guys, of Yes Realty Partners. Julie Garrett, Associate Broker of Rappahannock Real Estate LLC. Scott Morris, the fabulous Scott Morris, Branch Manager at Ross Mortgage Corporation. I think may have scooped up a client here today. Jamie Turner, this guy, Scott Morris. This show presented by Yes Realty Partners. For Judah Wickhauer, my name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are back in the saddle for Real Talk with the Monday Market Monitor. 10:15 on Monday, and the I Love CVille show is up in 50 minutes, where we're going to talk. Everybody gets a trophy in the public school system with its adjustment, with its curriculum, which drives me crazy. But that topic for another show. You guys have a good one. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Scott.
Good job.
Nice
Well
job.
done, Garrett.